I went to Weebcon! Had lots of fun, did lots of things, including my first ever meet and greet. And although it was a blast, there were a few things that we need to talk about. Like any convention, there will always be highs and lows. Some planned, and others maybe not so much. So let's talk about what went down at Weebcon. And we've got plenty to talk about. Best place to start off? Getting ready. Or maybe one step back. So what is Weebcon? Weebcon is a convention that took place in Irving, Texas, held this year at the Irving Convention Center, April 18th through 20th. This is the con's first year at this venue and will make a lot of sense later as to why that's so important. On to the beginning. Although my meet and greet was virtual, I did actually go to Irving, Texas to attend the event in person. I flew in on Wednesday evening, giving me some time before the con to hang out with some friends, Typho, Nicodemus, and Miyatoki, who were also there before the event and before everything got hectic. I went to Kura Sushi, oh my beloved Kura, who was doing a Hololive merch event, or rather a merch voucher for a later event, and that basically wraps up Wednesday. Not much, just getting settled. Then Thursday, the day before the convention. Thursday was the day we went for badge pickup. We got there at the end of the day and there was hardly anyone there, so we just walked up to registration / the pickup table inside the venue, grabbed our badge, and were on our way. My friends had gotten the regular weekend passes for all 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but I got the VIW badge. Yeah, you heard that right. It's VIW, not VIP. It stands for Very Important Weeb. Because Weebcon. Branding! All of us got these tickets in advance. I don't know if they were offering them in person, but I could be wrong. The normal pass was around $95, includes badge, lanyard, and 3 days. The VIW pass was $160, and in addition to the 3 days admission, I got the premium lanyard. The pass was some sort of metal. Seriously, when I first got it, my first instinct was to hit something with it. Use the lanyard like a medieval mace because that stuff thick. There was also a swag bag with the tote bag itself, Weebcon t-shirt, and 2 line skips for visiting the guests. However, I was not able to get my swag bag when picking up my badge and was told I needed to go to the guest counter during the con. And supposedly I would get access to VIW Lounge, priority entrance, and VIP concierge, as well as a VIP liaison to talk to. That's what was included, but well, you'll see how that went. Anyways, after picking up my badge later that night, I decided to go say hi to some more VTuber friends at a Pyropup meetup held at the Grapevine Round 1. Another banger of a place, might I say. Not like I've been to those before. Anyways, that was basically me hanging out and meeting up with my other friend Damon, who I can officially say stole all of the tall. Like, he's tall. He stole it. That's why I'm short. Anyways, he then pointed out another one of my friends that was there, that being Ice Boy. After chatting for a bit, exchanging our VTuber info cards, we decided to hit up the claw machines, where among other plushies, I was able to get a matching purple tentacle to go with my pink one. Finally, after flexing my claw machine skills, I headed back to base camp to prepare for convention day 1. And oh boy, was I glad I got the rest. Okay, day 1, Friday at Weebcon. The convention wasn't open for the full day on Friday. Only kinda? Let me explain. Registration, what myself and my friends did on Friday, opened at 9 a.m. But the con wasn't going to start until 2 p.m., meaning that if you got there at 9, got your badge, you'd be kicked out for about another 5 hours to then be let back inside. Yikes. Glad I didn't have to wait hours upon hours to get in. Oh, okay. Yeah. This is foreshadowing? Okay, got it. So instead, my friends and I showed up at about 1:45-ish. And we were met with a massive line. One of those where you're not really sure if you're at the end or just in one mass of cosplays, weebs, and confusion. There was no signage whatsoever, so it wasn't until someone with a megaphone shouted people in the right direction did we know that we were in the right spot. Typho actually had an exhibitor badge since they were helping out with some of the booths. But my friends and I weren't helping on Friday, so we headed towards the line, not yet knowing the fate that awaited. Taking our place in line, we were sorta towards the end, but the line kept growing because after all, it was just starting. Also, I wanted to share that while we were forming a line, there was this one random woman shouting about the wait time. From what I heard, the convo went a little something like this.
Registration said 9, it's 2. Why can't I be in there if we have our badges? I'm a lawyer, I know how to read.
Which I kind of thought was funny. Other thing to note was that outside there were like 3 or 4 food trucks, so at least you could grab a drink or a snack while you waited. This entrance was also the start of why Weebcon has been dubbed LineCon, because the entry line was long. Having got there 15 minutes early, in line with people who had gotten there at like 9, this is how it was set up. It started at the entrance, looped a few times inside the parking garage, zigzagged through the lawn part, and then up and down till I don't know what happened. For reference, 15 minutes before opening, we got there. And how long did the line take? 2 hours. Well, more like an hour 45 for me, but I'm thankful the Texas heat wasn't in full force. It was very overcast, light wind, and comfortable for me, who was basically in jeans and a t-shirt. I cannot say the same for cosplayers and furries. I know you're all built different, but we all need to hydrate or dehydrate, and I saw some of you sweating buckets, so I hope you were okay. Now, what was the reason for this long line, might you be wondering? This was finally revealed after our 2-hour wait. The single entrance. One door for all these people, and when we finally got to the door, we were handed a flyer for the after party and saw 4 bag checkers and 1 cosplay prop checker. Talk about a choke point. But at least it was done. We had made it to Weebcon at almost 4 o'clock. There were panels scheduled at 2, which was honestly diabolical because most people were not in by then. And from my browsing of TikTok, about 2 hours was the average wait time for people to get in. I had wanted to go to a voice acting panel at the start, but that was not gonna happen. Deciding to skip out on panels for the beginning, I wanted to head over to the vendor hall. Now, as no fun as the line was, once you got in, it was actually really neat. I've been to conventions before, but more small college campus stuff, so this con was a bit bigger than the ones I've attended in the past. And there were a ton of booths. Lots of people selling posters, stickers, keychains, official goods, etc., etc. First thing I headed towards was the Culture Dreamers booth to see what the meet and greets were going to look like. I was also able to say a quick hi to Sal, whose meet and greet was just ending. Culture Dreamers booth was in the back of the event hall, next to the Suto and Gamersubs booths. Since the con only had about 4 hours left, I wanted to just peruse and get the lay of the land. So I just started wandering about the hall, first getting stopped at the Gamersubs booth because, oh my god, trading cards? They had boxes of their V-card for sale. These are currently sold out, and wanting a full collection, I moved to the front of the line to get one for myself. They were doing a deal to help prevent scalping, where if you wanted to keep it sealed, it was going to be a little bit more than if they just ripped the plastic off of it. Which, honestly, good for them. It was also fun because I had people opening packs at the booth, so we all cheered at the 10s and honestly was pretty hype. I personally opened 1 pack at the table, but wanted to save the rest for later with my friends. But I pulled a 10 Megalodon, so that was fun. Moving on, I was starting to get hungry. I had a small breakfast before the con, but it was almost like 4:30, so I needed to find something. Now, we can blame this on my lack of direction or whatever, but the only food I had known about was the food trucks. You know, the ones outside. Okay, turns out there were more food options, which I found later on after walking around towards the end of the day, but I am notoriously bad with directions. Anyways, by this point, my friends and I met back up with Typho, who was also looking for something to eat. However, knowing they could help us get back in without waiting the still 2-hour-long line, we popped outside for some beef bulgogi at one of the food trucks, and that beef was bussin'. It was honestly so freaking good, you have no idea. I mean, look at it! Look at it! Look at it! Oh yeah, and I also got a bubble tea. It was Toki, Typho, and myself, Nick having to go get ready for his own meet and greet. Sitting outside, we just took a minute to take it in and people watch. Then, wait, off in the distance, is that Brazilian Miku? Yeah, someone had a flag with Brazilian Miku. Then, with the help of Typho, we were back in the con. Although, now I know I might have been able to get in with my VIP badge? Possibly, it said entrance was one of the perks, but I don't know. Anyways, we made it back in. This time, I felt the entrance inside the building was slightly less crowded. Among other things, in the front back part of the first floor was a huge Pokemon plushie booth and an absolutely clutch soda spot. As far as hydration goes, there was publicly available water, but this person was offering unlimited refills of tea and artisanal soda. I had a cup and only paid like $7 a day for unlimited refills of the entirety of the con. Totally worth it. After fully hydrating and eating yummy food, I headed back to see more of the vendor floor. I looked around for a bit, stopped at the meet and greet to say hi to Nick and Lenore, and by this time, it was almost like 6 and I really wanted to check out the anime one-liner panel ran by fellow VTubers Tane Tenchi and Angel Steps. I needed to head upstairs to the panel rooms. Passing by the escalators, I noticed what would now be a new shrine of Batsard, which someone had offered my business card. I think it was my manager. There was an okay amount of time to look at it because, surprise, surprise, there was another line to get upstairs. This line wasn't bad, but just on theme for the con. I made it upstairs, went to what was a guest services desk, grabbed the aforementioned swag bag that I couldn't pick up before, and met up with some friends at the panel. It was a fun one, and I love seeing VTuber brand events. Totally not biased or anything. But anyways, I decided after the panel I wanted to go to a voice acting panel. Now this was the other less than ideal thing about the con. Other cons that I've been to provide a paper schedule with a map in the swag bag that they provide at the door. Weebcon did not do this. The only paper that was handed was the flyer advertising the after party, and that was it. Okay, so I could just go to the website and check out which room the panel was in, right? Well, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do if I wasn't getting constant 504 errors. It was just not loading. I tried with the convention Wi-Fi, phone data, my friend tried, nothing. No big deal, I could just go to guest services. Hey, do you know what panel room this is in?
Have you checked the website?
Can't reach it.
Oh, poke your head in and see?
Yeah, so when asking for help, I was told to open each panel door, listen long enough to figure out what panel it was, and walk in. The panel had already started, and like most events, the room were full, standing room only, if any. So the proposed solution to not knowing was to try to sneak into the panels that were already at capacity and do this for all 4 of the rooms on that floor. Nope, not about to do that. However, on the positive sides of things, I looked around the second floor and that's when I found it. Tucked away with almost no signage was the artist alley. Yeah, I don't know what it is about conventions, but a lot of them seem to have to tuck the artist alley into a different spot. Not a Weebcon exclusive thing, just a weird trend that I've noticed. There was also no indication from the ground or the second floor that it even existed. You needed to be at the doorway to the artist alley to see that things were even there. Of course, I had to check it out, so I walked around to check out the wares. Finally, we were reaching the end of day 1, so my friends, Toki, Nick, and myself regrouped and headed back to check in with Cultured Dreamers, down the escalators and back in the vendor hall to chat, and they were kind enough to give us more swag. On our way out, we passed through the parking garage, which was now being used to show off the fun anime-themed VTuber cars. Someone even left flowers for Gura. But with that, day 1 was complete. We had some Raising Cane's for dinner. They don't have that near me, so it was a treat. We went back to our accommodations, and here was the haul for today. A bunch of Yuna Culture Dreamers merch, Weebcon swag, box of V cards and Nile Nectar from Gamer Sups, a blind bag of the little creations from Honkai Star Rail, takoyaki keychain and iron-on, meme cat pins, probably my favorite being the Happy Cat lenticular print. I mean, look! Some Pokemon pins, and a print and card from Brave Okami and Sugi that I ran into at the con. Oh, we also opened the V cards. Here are the pulls. And thus, the first day was finally over. On to Saturday. Before we headed out, I made sure to screenshot the panels I wanted to go to in case I lost access again. Weebcon also issued an update about the line. There was now more ADA assistance and a second entrance point. But only for people without bags. Who goes to a con without bags? Like, okay, I appreciate them opening spots, but I don't know. Without bags seems like not much of a solution because who even goes to a con without, I don't know, like a purse or even a backpack? But what was interesting this time was in the area that had the line of few vendors and a live DJ making it a bit more hype set up. So that was neat. Skip forward through getting in with priority, the con was in full swing. The shrine had to be set up again, looks like it had gotten cleaned up from Friday, and this was the view from the entrance area. For a lot of the con, I like to look around the booths, people watch in the cosplayers, and check out the meet and greets. I got to talk to Ryan. Oh, look how cute she is! But anyways, I continued my look around, and around noon on the second day is when I found the food places in the side walls of the vendor hall. I had missed them Friday, but this was the option for food inside the convention. Again, it was kind of on me. Except it wasn't. I looked after the fact to check if I was missing anything, and the maps do not have any mention of food within the building. So, I was right this time. There was tacos, burgers, hot dog, typical concession stand type stuff. One part I did like about the layout of the ICC was the outdoor parts on the upper floors. People were hanging out, doing photo ops for cosplay, and it just looked neat. Oh, there was also Dippin' Dots stand on the second floor, so that was cool too. And on the second floor, I was finally going to a voice acting panel. It was in panel room 3. Looking at the map, the door was here, except it wasn't. Turns out this was the alternative entrance and not the line, and I had gotten lucky that I was there half an hour early. Also there to eat the Dippin' Dots, but I was able to get back in the correct place from the door here. Oh, here? Where the map shows no door? Yep, that's the spot. I also want to take a second to look at the maps, because you'll notice some have entry points and some don't. So, yeah, remember when the lady said to open the doors and look in? I'm so glad I didn't, because some of the rooms had second doors which opened at the front, meaning all of the people would have seen me interrupt instantly. Eesh. But once the panel was done, I went back to my wandering, shopping, and people watching. I also had really wanted to meet Cottontail around this time, but when I got in line an hour early, I was told, oh, we handed out the tickets early, so if you don't have one, then you can't see her. R.I.P., oh well. At least they told me when I had gotten in line instead of waiting forever and then being told. I was waiting in line with my friend Sugi, who did get a ticket, so I chatted with her for a bit. However, drinking a fair amount of artisanal soda, I needed to pee. The bathroom closest to me was right by the Cottontail meetup, so as I was going, I went meerkat mode into the bathroom to sneak a glimpse of Cotton. I saw her stepping on a guy. Okay, I really did have to pee, I was just making the most of it, don't judge me. I also saw Joel was doing a meet and greet. I've already said hi to him before, so I skipped out, but did snag a picture because 1, freaking love this guy's model, and 2, it just makes me really excited to see how VTuber meet and greets are being held. Honestly, I know VTubers are new when compared to the anime cons as a whole, but it's fun to see that VTubers are now a part of these events. By this time, it was about 4:30 p.m. The shrine had grown and my feet were tired, so I decided to use my perk of the VIP or VIW lounge. Getting to the lounge, Nick was with me. He didn't have a VIW pass, but they let him in. It was a basic room. The perks were that there were chairs and that it was quiet. And there even was a little whiteboard to doodle on. But that was it. Nothing else special, really. If you get overwhelmed or overstimulated, I could see this as a major plus because it was chill, but other than that, I'll probably opt for sitting on the floor by a wall to take a break. However, I also find it important to mention that I wanted to also have my friend Toki join me. The lounge only had 2 others in it, and seeing as they let Nick in, I thought it would be okay to also have Toki. Yeah, turns out no, which understandable, if everyone brings friends, it would only fill up, but turns out I wasn't even allowed a +1, and Nick was actually let in accidentally. Oops. So, TLDR of the VIW benefits, the line passes are good for guests, but everything else, if you have friends, you'd need to leave them behind. Entrance skip or lounge, no one else allowed besides you. Perfect if you're by yourself, but less than ideal if you have anyone else with you. Also worth mention, on the second floor were set up scenes for cosplay photos. Free to use and honestly sick as heck. At 6, I went to the Hololive fan meet. I signed 2 banners thanking Gura and Mume and got some nice group photos. And when that was done, I went back to, you guessed it, the vendor hall. I met back up with Typho, who gifted me a cottontail mouse pad from Suto. Freaking love their art. She also signed it. Now, at this point in the video, I want to mention something that bothered me a lot, and that is the use of AI. See, it wasn't a ton, but it was there. 2 vendors I suspected of having AI were this booth, who used it for a sticker for map pricing, not the worst thing ever, but ick. And this clothing booth that had a giant banner. Now, of course, I could be wrong, so disclaimer, if anyone has proof to say otherwise, let me know, and I'll retract this statement and apologize. But this banner looked sus. I checked their socials, and what I could find of any art of the chibis looks okay. They weren't selling any art that looked off, but still, this banner gave me the ick. It'd be nice to see cons enforce a no AI policy since these industries thrive off artists, but as far as I saw, these were the only 2 obvious instances, and there weren't any in the main products. But after a long day 2, we got some Outback Steakhouse. And headed back! More specifically for a, formal chicken panel that I will not be discussing here. Let's just say I have a 50% chance of guessing if something is chicken or normal anime. It was also on the 2nd floor where I noticed, OMG, they added Artist Alley signage! After that, we called it a night. Here was the hall. More cards, more cats, an Ina print, Hololive Kiru Coco official hoodie, Dino Nuggy socks, Cottontail keychain, and the gifted desk mat. Wait, is that the last day? The last day! Also, the day of my meet and greet. I was tasked with helping Typho carry in a bunch of donuts for Gamer Sups, Suto, Novel Horizons, and Culture Dreamers peeps. Shout out to Kim's Donuts. The last day I spent more time in the Artist Alley and then needed to head out for a bit to prepare for my meet and greet. The event was so much fun and it was so exciting to see everyone who came by to say hi. Thank you so much. I was really worried I wouldn't get to talk to many people, but I was shocked by how many people actually came. Again, big thank you to Culture Dreamers for setting this all up. It really meant a lot to me. Once I got back, I looked around the vendors hall a bit more before going to the restroom. Why do I mention that? Well, funny side story. I needed to use the restroom, and a key feature was the tiled walls. Why do I mention that? Because anyone on the outside of the entrance, their voice would echo and you could hear them fairly clearly. As I'm sitting there, doing what I gotta, I heard, Zentreya? Now, for some reason, my first thought wasn't, oh, Zentreya must be outside, or, oh, Zentreya's doing a walk-around stream. No, for some reason I thought Zentreya was physically in the bathroom. Yeah, Zen and OP Katy Cat were doing a walk-around stream and their audio happened to be perceivable from the bathroom. For the last few hours, I continued my walk around the con, making sure I hadn't missed anything I absolutely needed to get. Oh yeah, and I accidentally crossed paths with Brandon Rogers twice. But with that, Weebcon was over. As a last hurrah, my friends and I got KBBQ and headed back to pack up and fly home the next day. Except my flight was delayed so much I actually ended up staying an additional day. I went to Kura again because might as well, and then the next morning I finally flew back home. Now, what are my thoughts on this whole thing? TLDR, I had fun. Cons are typically always a blast no matter what happens. I'm more of a vendor hall and artist alley person, and you'll notice I didn't mention the guest signings because, meh, I'm not too interested in getting signatures. However, I think at this venue, if they choose to do so next year, they'll need more signs, more lines, not like longer lines, I mean like more entrance points so that there are more shorter lines, and not the 2-hour-long entrance line that dubbed this line con in the first place, and better maps and schedules. Honestly, instead of giving everyone a flyer for the after party, we should have gotten paper schedules and a more accurate map. I get that printing a booklet may have been more expensive, but I think it could have been a very helpful, nice touch. So, would I do this again? Absolutely. I just maybe wouldn't buy the VIW badge, especially not if I'm there with friends. Maybe if it's able to skip the mega line, that would justify the price, but even so, don't bring friends because the chances are the benefits will not extend to them. And that's all of what went down at Weebcon. I hope you enjoyed, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because man, this video took a lot to make. Anyways, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, be sure to leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! Mwah!